Hey, Matt Dunn, we are going to talk about a couple of terms now. This will help you do questions 4, 5, 6, and 7 in the homework today. That's an ugly 4. Sorry about that. It's not much better, but okay. So the words that we need to know are relations, domain, and range. So we already talked about what relations mean, and we gave some real world examples of sets of numbers that are related. We talked about things like the number of hours you work to their paycheck you get at the end of the week or however you're paid. But a more mathematical, like a broader definition of relations without any examples in it is relations are a set of ordered pairs. X and a Y doesn't have to be like X could mean hours worked and Y could mean your paycheck, but it's just a set of ordered pairs, more like one or more. You can actually have a whole bunch of ordered pairs. Like, for example, you probably get paid more than once, hopefully. Like, if you have a job over a period of time, like over a year, you're going to get a whole bunch of paychecks. So you might get a whole bunch of ordered pairs of, like, hours worked and paycheck. They can differ from, time from week to week. You might get more hours during the holidays and less hours during school, that kind of stuff. So an ordered pair is just a set of all those, a relation is just a set of all those ordered pairs that you have collected or found for your whatever your example is that you're trying to go for. We're not going to see too many like real world examples kind of from the homework as we go forward. So if you just want to like think of this as a set of X and Y values, that's totally fine. You're not going to go wrong too hard by that. So first of all, the next thing I want to talk about is domain. So domain is all of the X values of all the ordered pairs in your relations, and the range is all of the Y values in your relation, all your ordered pairs in your relation. Generally, domain is going to be what's called the independent variable, and range. Domain is going to be all of the independent variables, and the dependent variables will be the range, the Y. So what does it mean by an independent variable versus a dependent variable? So an independent variable is the one that you have control over. So do you have control over, in a job, do you have control over the money you get at the end or the number of hours you work? Sometimes you have neither, control over neither. But you have more control over the hours you work, right? You can say, I'm calling in sick, and that's going to change the number of hours you work. Or you could say, I'd like to get more hours to your boss, and they'll up the number of hours you get. You don't say, I want to get $500 this week, and then, your hours just get scaled to that, right? The number of hours you work controls the paycheck. So that's your sort of independent variable, whereas the paycheck is the dependent variable. It depends on your on the number of hours you worked. So let's go to the questions now. Honestly, the dependent and independent variable stuff isn't going to come into play too much, but I just wanted to mention it as something to know. But the words relations and domain and range are going to be a big deal. So let's skip over to the question 4, 5, and 6. To start with, 4, 5, and 6, they're just, define it, please. So just go ahead and choose the right one. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Go check your answer is correct at the back of the book, but go ahead and give that definition. Oh, I got the answers here already. Let me erase. You can see I've done this video before. I actually do these videos like a few times because I'll screw up some little detail or I think I could explain it better or whatever. Go away answers. I wanted to talk about them as if no one had ever seen me talk about them before. This is not working. Okay, so let's talk about question 7. This one's a little more interesting, a little bit more potentially confusing. So here they give us a relation. This is a set of ordered pairs, and they're going to ask us what is the domain. So the domain is just going to be all the X values. So what are the X values? We have a 3, a 2, and a 3. 3, 2, 3. So that's our domain. You don't have to write duplicates twice, though. So my domain is just going to be 2 and 3. I don't have to write 3 twice. Yeah, makes sense? What's the range? It's all the Y values. So 2, 3, and 3. So it's just 2 and 3 again. Yahoo! That's it. It's just all the X values for domain and all the Y values for range. I did this one as well down here. This is a little bit more interesting because they're not the same. So it's a little bit easier to see what's the difference. So for domain, it's going to be all the x values. So -5, 0, -5. Cool. It's -5 and 0. Those are, and if there was more, you could just like put comma and put another number. But it turns out there's just 2. It's not always going to be just 2. It could be like a billion. It could be infinite. These domains and ranges can have as many numbers as you need. In these examples, it seems like there's only, there's not too many. There's only 2. The range is going to be just the y values, right? So 2, 2, and 3, so just 2 and 3. There it is. That's the story. So you can just fill those in. This will get a little bit more interesting and maybe more challenging when we get to doing looking at a graph. We'll look at a graph and it'll ask you what's the domain and range of this graph. So that'll be a new thing we'll take a look at. But we'll look at that down the road. So I'm going to end this video here. We'll come back and look at mapping. Ooh, what's these weird circle egg things? So we'll talk about that coming up in a minute. Okay, thanks everybody.